The Cretan Archers were feared across the ancient world for one deadly reason: their unmatched skill with the bow. These mercenary warriors, hailing from the island of Crete, weren't just skilled archers. They were precision artists who could shoot arrows with incredible power and accuracy, making them the ultimate weapon on any battlefield. In an age where brute force often reigned, the Cretan archers stood apart. From a young age, Crete's children were trained to wield the bow and arrow like no others. By the time they were adults, they were capable of hitting targets at extraordinary distances, their arrows piercing armor and shields with ease. It wasn't just about hitting a mark, it was about being able to strike with unbelievable force and precision, often from hundreds of yards away. These archers weren't part of any standing army. Instead, they were elite mercenaries, selling their skills to the highest bidder. From the Greek city-states to the mighty Egyptians, and even under Alexander the Great. During his conquest of the Persian Empire, the Cretan archers were the secret weapon that turned the tide of many battles. One of their most notorious feats came during the siege of Tyre, where Cretan archers were stationed high above the walls, picking off key defenders from afar. Their skill with the bow made them formidable in sieges and ambushes, able to strike down enemies before they even knew where the attack was coming from. Their bowmanship was so respected that even the Roman Empire sought them out. Roman commanders valued them so highly that they would often be placed in elite forces, and Roman historians even noted that one Cretan archer was worth 10 regular soldiers. The Cretan archers weren't just warriors, they were living legends. Their story is a reminder that sometimes in the chaos of war, precision and skill can be more deadly than brute strength. Our storm brews over Agincourt. Arrows scream like banshees, a black cloud of death raining from the sky. The English Longbowmen, grim yeomen in mud and leather, stand poised, their 6-foot bows taut with menace. This is no ordinary clash. It's the day knights fell before they could swing a blade. On October 25th, 1415, amid the 100 Years' War, these archers, hardened sons of farmers and craftsmen, turned the tide against France's armoured elite. Born from England's rural heartlands, they weren't nobles but freemen, trained from boyhood under laws mandating Sunday practice. Their weapon, the yew longbow, a 100-pound draw launching bodkin-tipped arrows 250 yards to pierce plate armour, a feat armourers still marvel at. Few know they carried no shields. Speed was their armour, loosing 10 arrows a minute while knights slogged through mire. At Agincourt, 6,000 longbowmen faced 30,000 French, including 10,000 mounted knights. King Henry V gambled on a muddy bottleneck, planting sharpened stakes to funnel the foe. The archers unleashed hell, 60,000 arrows in 10 minutes, shredding horses and men, the field a chaos of screams and clattering steel. A buried truth. French knights, overconfident, wore newfangled plates so heavy they drowned in mud as arrows pinned them down. By dusk, 7,000 French lay dead to England's 400 lost, a slaughter scribes called a miracle. Their craft, born in Wales centuries earlier, made archers the era's snipers, yet gunpowder soon silenced their bows. Agincourt's echo, it proved peasants could topple chivalry. They were not born soldiers, they were taken. The Janissaries, the elite shock troops of the Ottoman Empire, were forged from a brutal system known as the devshirme, the blood tax. Christian boys, often from the Balkans, were taken from their families, converted to Islam, and molded into one of the most feared military forces in history. But this was no ordinary army. The Janissaries were raised to know only war. They were banned from marriage, stripped of personal wealth, and lived under strict discipline. Their training was relentless. Martial arts, hand-to-hand combat, archery, and eventually the mastery of firearms, making them one of the first standing armies to adopt gunpowder weapons effectively. Their loyalty was absolute, not to a family, not to a homeland, but only to the Sultan. In battle, the Janissaries were shock troops, leading the charge with matchlock rifles, composite bows, and razor-sharp yataghans. They broke European heavy cavalry with disciplined volleys, proving that firearms would rule the battlefield. At the Siege of Constantinople, 1453, they spearheaded the assault, storming the great walls of the Byzantine Empire. At the Battle of Mohacs, 1526, they shattered the Hungarian army in under 2 hours. But the same discipline that made them great also made them dangerous. Over time, they gained political power, resisting reforms and even overthrowing sultans. By the 19th century, they were no longer the fierce warriors of old, but a corrupt force. In 1826, Sultan Mahmud II had enough. He ordered their extermination in the auspicious incident, where thousands were slaughtered, marking the violent end of the Janissaries. Their legacy, the first modern standing army, the pioneers of organized firearm warfare, and a reminder that the most loyal soldiers can become the greatest threats. If you love insane warrior stories, smash that like button, subscribe, and share for more history that textbooks don't tell. Knights charge, unstoppable. Then they hit a wall of steel. Pikes impale, bodies fall, the charge is shattered. This was the Swiss pikemen, Europe's deadliest phalanx. The Swiss pikemen weren't just soldiers, they were a revolution in medieval warfare. In an age where armoured knights ruled the battlefield, the Swiss proved that discipline, strategy, and sheer determination could bring down the mightiest of foes. Emerging from the rugged mountains of Switzerland in the late Middle Ages, these warriors were not noblemen or lords, but hardened peasants. Forced to defend their homeland against invaders, they turned to an ancient but devastating weapon, the pike. Measuring up to 5 meters long, these spears allowed them to fight in tight formations, making cavalry charges useless. Their training was brutal. They drilled endlessly, moving as one, striking with precision, never breaking ranks. A single Swiss pikeman formation could turn an open field into a death trap for any army foolish enough to face them. But their true test came against the seemingly invincible armoured knights of Europe. At the Battle of Margarten in 1315, the Swiss lured the mighty Habsburg knights into a narrow pass. With pikes, axes, and pure mountain fury, they slaughtered the enemy, proving that the age of the knight was ending. But their greatest victory came at the Battle of Grandson in 1476. Facing Charles the Bold of Burgundy, the Swiss stood unshaken as his knights charged. The moment the enemy faltered, they counterattacked, cutting through the Burgundians like a scythe through wheat. The Swiss pikemen became legendary. Their tactics inspired future European armies, paving the way for modern infantry warfare. Nations hired them as mercenaries, paying fortunes for their invincible formations. Yet, they never forgot their roots. A brotherhood forged in discipline, standing together unbreakable. The Swiss pikemen didn't just win battles, they changed the very nature of war. From peasants to conquerors, from rebels to legends, the Swiss pikemen proved that steel, discipline, and unbreakable will could topple even the greatest empires. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible history. A shadow streaks through Bohemia's mist. Light feet pound, flails whirl as chaos erupts in the enemy's ranks. The Hussite Skirmishers, agile masters of hit and run, danced around foes, their strikes a venomous sting bolstering the war wagons. Their tale of speed and slaughter ignites now. Born in the Hussite Wars of 1419, these skirmishers, peasants and woodsmen from Czech villages, were the nimble edge of Bohemia's rebellion. Living off berries, bread, and stolen game in forest camps, they trained with morning stars, spiked flails, and short spears, perfecting ambushes under Jan Žižka's eye. Lightly clad in tunics, no armor to slow them, they darted from wagon forts, harassing knights too bulky to chase. At Sudomněž in 1420, 400 skirmishers with 12 wagons shredded 2,000 cavalry. Flails cracked helms, then they vanished into the swamp. Few know they used wolf pits, hidden spikes, to cripple horses, a trap foes cursed. Their peak shone at Kutná-Hora in 1421, scattering Sigismund's crusaders with feints, aiding the wagon's escape. Tireless, they ran 15 miles daily, striking at dusk when foes faltered. Their end came at Lipany in 1434, split by betrayal, but their agility rewrote guerrilla war. The skirmishers dance stilled, yet their sting haunts history. Hooked on this epic? Smash subscribe, share the chaos, and join me for the next wild tale.